How's it going? Are you struggling with weight loss and you've heard of the popular drug called Ozempic? That one's a lot of times in the press. If you're considering it, this is a really good video because what we're going to be talking about is this specific drug and some better alternatives that are pharmaceutical based and some other ways to help you lose weight. Let's get into it. And don't forget to stay to the end because I'll share with you a completely natural trick that I've tested myself that works extremely well to curb your hunger and help you accelerate fat loss naturally with ingredients you probably have right in your home today. How's it going? My name is Andy J, and welcome to the Brotherhood. I'm here to help millennial men feel our best. And so today, like I said, we're going to be looking at Ozempic and some other similar drugs and some other natural ways to get the results that these talk about. Because I know losing weight can be overwhelming. You watch so many videos, everyone has an opinion, everyone's saying, use this drug, do this natural method. There's just so much information. So hopefully this video will help cut through some of the BS and give you a better perspective on approaching these medications, as well as maybe even considering some alternatives. So let's first talk about Ozempic because that's the one that's really popular. It is also considered semaglutide therapy, which is sometimes what doctors will use as the term. The reason why it's very popular is it's originally a type 2 diabetes drug, and it belongs to a class of drugs called GLP-1 receptor agonist, which basically mimics and stimulates insulin production. So it helps with insulin production, which can be problematic if someone's beginning to develop symptoms of diabetes. They actually will decrease this hormone production, which can cause a lot of fat gain as a result. Because of that, the body's basically, the process of energy storage begins to break down. I think the main use for it, and the reason why it's become popular for fat loss, is it actually slows gastric emptying. So what that means is the food, when it passes through your digestive system, it slows it down, and so you feel more full longer because of it. Now, there are some benefits that's interesting about Ozempic. So for example, it's been shown to be obviously good with blood sugar control. It does help with people to lose weight because of the basically causing people to feel full longer, so they don't want to eat as often. There is some evidence to show that there's a risk to decrease heart disease, which I think is, directly related to the issue with eating too much and obesity. As far as like dosing, it's relatively convenient. It's done through injection, but you only have to get an injection once a week from your doctor, which a lot of people find to be convenient for that reason. Now, the side effects are pretty well known, and this is why this drug has kind of mixed reviews. Some of the more common symptoms, and these are pretty common, I've heard about these from many reports, that it can induce nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation. Those can be very common symptoms to taking this drug. It's also kind of expensive from what it seems like from the reporting I've looked at, and not all insurance providers cover getting this medication. And then the other thing is, because it's an injection, some people may not like that, even though it's only a once a week injection. Some people just obviously don't like needles and they don't want to, they'd rather take a pill. And this particular drug is not available in a pill form. A different drug that's actually been sort of newer to the scene than Ozempic is called tirzepatide. Is like, it's, I guess, like kind of like semaglutide. And then some of the names that they use is Mounjaro and Zepbound. I think those are more of the brand names for this particular drug. And it's a dual action medication similar to Ozempic in that it's an GLP-1 agonist, but it's also, it has some other actions in play as well. Now, the benefit to this is they found that it has up to a 23% body weight reduction in its clinical trials, and it improves insulin sensitivity. The mechanism of action is very similar, so it just makes you feel more full. But what I've heard, though, is there is similar side effects to Ozempic, but less with the nausea and the issues with GI sensitivity. It's not as bad. Now, some of the downsides to this is that it's more expensive because it's a newer drug. So that's kind of one of the issues with that particular one. Another drug is called liraglutide, and very similar to Ozempic, being a GLP-1 agonist. It provides an aid of about 5 to 10% weight loss, and this one you have to do daily dosing for this particular drug. Now, the issue here is the drawback is obviously if you're having to get daily injections, a lot of people aren't going to like that. And it seems to be less effective for compared to Ozempic and tirzepatide. As far as symptoms, from what I remember and what I've read, is that there is actually less symptoms. So it might be an alternative where these other drugs maybe aren't working really well with your biochemistry. So this one might be a better alternative, even though the results aren't as good. Now, those are the pharmaceutical-based alternatives that are similar to Ozempic. Now I'm going to talk about some more natural ways that I would argue are just as effective, if not better, and healthier for your body. You just have to be able to have the discipline and understand how to approach this appropriately. So the first one is going to be about fasting. So I've made some other videos on this, doing some sort of version of intermittent fasting or long duration fasting. I'm a bigger fan of doing anything from a 24-hour to a 36-hour fast. I find that to be more effective and healthier for the body and less stressful than actually short duration fasts, actually. It's kind of counterintuitive, but the literature seems to show that you get better health outcomes from doing longer duration fasts, up to 36 hours. I don't recommend going beyond that, actually. Another thing that's really effective, and this is more pharmaceutical based, but it's also more easily attainable, is using some sort of thyroid support, specifically supplementing with a T3 type of supplement. This will naturally increase your metabolism and help you maintain a good metabolic rate. So if you're putting yourself in a calorie deficit, which you have to do no matter what, even with these pharmaceutical drugs, you'll be able to get better outcomes. Some other types of supplements you can take are what are considered SARMs. I made a more lengthy video on this recently. And on the topic of SARMs and using them for weight loss, these are basically, they stand for select androgen receptor modulators. The best compounds that I've been able to find is ostarine and cardinerine. Sorry, I have a really hard time pronouncing these names. But anyway, these two have been found to be very effective at preserving muscle tissue while you're in a calorie deficit. So they're a very good tool in that sense. And these particular ones don't have as many side effects as some of the other ones, but because they are basically a research chemical, the long-term effects of these are more unclear. So in some ways, the medications are maybe even, I don't want to say safer, but there's just more research behind it. So when you take it, you kind of know what to expect a little bit more. Another drug that's really useful, and it's very popular in the bodybuilding community, but is a great tool to help increase your metabolism for weight loss, is using clenbuterol, which is originally a asthma drug, but has been shown to increase your metabolic rate, increasing your body temperature. And so it will naturally help you burn more calories in a shorter period of time. Some people have issues with this, so you have to make sure you test it for yourself and you don't have any side effects. Start with a lower dosage and then work your way up and then see how you respond to that. Again, I've made some other videos on these specific topics, so check out those videos. That'll help you a lot to get more into the weeds as far as specific dosaging and what to expect. And as far as like some basic lifestyle tips, again, I keep beating the drum on these basic things that everyone probably knows, but it's good to be reminded of them over and over again. Getting enough quality sleep, getting enough time to reduce your stress load. Those are very important. Making sure you get enough protein because you want to preserve lean tissue, and making sure that you're getting enough strong resistance exercise that's allowing you to build more muscle tissue. So that's it for now. As a reward for staying to the end, I told you I would give you a bonus tip on a special little thing you can do to help curb your hunger and allow you to be more successful in your weight loss journey. I find this to be really effective for particularly when you're fasting and you want to curb hunger, similar to what semaglutide does or Ozempic does, where it actually will help take away hunger. But this one doesn't slow down your gastric emptying, which I think is actually safer. And I made another video on this, but the quick short of it is, and look for the other video if you want to go into more detail about the science behind it, but it's actually mixing apple cider vinegar with soda water. There are active chemicals in the apple cider vinegar that have been shown through research to actually work with your insulin system, similar to what is happening with the semaglutide therapy. And in doing that, it helps curb hunger. It works surprisingly well. I was very skeptical at first when I first experimented with it, but it works surprisingly well. Obviously, use as much as you can up to your tolerance. I particularly like sour food, so I can tolerate a lot of apple cider vinegar in my water. But if you don't like that, work your way up slowly. But it should help take the edge off your hunger so you can get past those times where you're hungry and then you feel fine again. And then you've basically been able to maintain that deeper calorie deficit. So I hope you found that useful. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video because your support means so much. Leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on any of these recommendations. Have you experimented with Ozempic or any of these other weight loss drugs? What was your experience? Did you have side effects? Did it work well for you? Did you have success? I'd love to hear that because, this is something I read a lot about. I've only talked to a few people who have done these drugs, and I want to get more feedback on knowing really how well and how successful people have been at using these. And if they're able to, more importantly, maintain and keep the body fat off after they stop using these drugs. So let me know in the comments. I'd be really curious to hear, or any other thoughts on this discussion. I really appreciate it. About this time, you should be seeing some other videos posting up that are similar to this topic, so check those out. Hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will talk to you soon.